Natomanila Papa Paka Pokanwani, Chaloma Sapipo, Kotila, Chaloma, Tusani Tonam Purun, Kokuna Depo. Nomharam, Honey, Natomanilawi, Matoko Natinis, Chalomapo. The reason why I'm doing this because my children are getting corrupted and getting in trouble more every year. And I thought that if I would come back to the grounds and teach them right from wrong, that I could help them in that way. And I would teach them what the old ancestors and how they lived many years back.
Throughout America, Indian people, although geographically distant, are working toward a similar goal, to preserve their old traditions and cultures, handing them down to new generations through the old dances, legends, and religion. Florence Jones, a Wintu medicine woman, has seen what happens when young Indian people lose contact with their heritage. That's why today, at her summer retreat in Northern California's Shasta County, Florence is singing the old songs, sharing the old wisdom, working with the ancient medicine. She is healing. She is doing something to save the past for her people. So is Shan Davis, a spiritual leader, or fatavena, of the Karuk tribe, whose lands lie to the west of the Wintu.
The world is not running right. That's the reason for the fatavena to fast and pray and make all this medicine to upright the world back on its axis again.
Both Shan Davis and Florence Jones symbolize the great vitality and the vulnerability facing the Indian culture in America's society. Since historically the schools have not afforded Indian youth access to their cultural heritage, their only connection to the past has been through their elders.
Oh, yeah? His dad was named Tishiprekua.
With the passing of each elder has come an irreplaceable loss, as the living library of Indian wisdom has become silenced forever. And perhaps just as important, the passing of the elders has meant the gradual loss of the language, the native tongue, through which the old wisdom has been passed on.
Strong. Did you feel it? Yeah.
I think if they would go back and find the continuity, like there's so many things that apply in the culture to the past as they do today, about your family, about how you look at the world perspective, the religious aspect of the things that, are still real. And so much of our people today are losing they don't see the realness of the Creator. They don't see the realness of the world. And it's becoming plastic and false and shallow.
Lorne Bommelin is a Tolowa from the far north coast of California. Through the help of the elders of his tribe, Lorne has come to rediscover the past, his past, and along with it, his language. In turn, this rediscovery has led him to become a teacher, the first state college-certified teacher of an Indian language in the United States. Like most Indian people, Lorne believes that it is through the language that the old traditions and beliefs can remain intact and whole.
Sure, then, huh?
Yeah.
Equally important is the philosophy of living that is contained in the language. It teaches of a balance between the spirit and the world, and it is this philosophy that forms the basis of physical and mental well-being for the Indian people. It has become apparent that the key to continued and improved wellness for Indian people lies in the preservation of the ancient traditions and in the preservation of the native languages as well.
I've been praying here ever since I was a little girl. It's over 70 years ago. I come here with my mother, and I prayed. Then my mother would bring other people here and pray for them also. And she says, daughter, when I'm gone, you carry on.
I've been fatavena since 1946 was my first time after I come out of the army. My first time when my dad, I followed my dad's footsteps, and my dad has been fatavena. My brother was here fatavena here, and so is Allie Henry and Uncle Billy and Bernard, Abner J. They're all related to me. And that's how I got started.
I started along learning about the things, the way our people used to live. Well, I began my life, I guess, a long time ago I started. Because I've always been around, growing up, I was around old people. And just like here on this river bar, we had a dance one time, and there was all the young boys was playing around, and the old people told me, come over here, you sit down here. Says, you're going to learn how to make a stick, cook salmon on, they said. And someday you can teach the kids how to do that. And at the time I kind of felt funny, you know, why they'd pick me out and they'd bring me over there, you know, and I'd have to sit down, I'd carve one with them, and they wouldn't say nothing to the other ones. And I started out like that, and the different way that the people lived was always fascinating to me. And so I tried to learn as much as I could about what they had to say. And that's how I got started, you know, and then being around the old people, listen to them.
That's the reason I give my whole
Like Lorne and Shan, Florence Jones knows there is much to be gained from the wisdom and teaching of the old ways. There is strong medicine here, and like the others, Florence's life is dedicated to sharing it.
The reason why I say I think they got a lot of things to gain, because they'll learn their culture, they'll learn everything about how the older generation had lived, and they had lived a beautiful life. And this is my thoughts from my heart. I'd like to see all of this come back. I'd like to see my people live beautiful.
So I'm asking everyone today that believe in some spiritual. Whatever it is, believe in it. If you want to stay healthy, if you want to grow up to be a young man, if you want to be older.
And I think by being aware of your past as well as your present, it makes it a better future for you. And so as a whole being, then you're stronger that way. You feel secure in yourself, you're happy, you understand, and there's no doubt and fear, and you're not being ripped off. So you're at ease in all these different ways. And you know, just like they say, you know, when the rough time comes, if they got no anchor, then they're just going to float away too, just like the seaweed on the ocean that's not attached to a rock or something like that, you see. And so my advice is for them to go back and look for the truth that will affect their life, that will make them better people. And if they can find these things, they're going to be happier and secure.
The teaching of the Indian culture goes forward in many ways, from ceremonial grounds to university classrooms.
So you come back this way. You ain't got no room over there.
Yet the goal is always the same, to preserve the past so that each generation may find benefit, to keep the old ways and beliefs alive so that Indian people, young and old, may find self-awareness and health.
The English word, and you can say the Indian word to goodbye.
Within the last decade, vigorous new efforts have been launched by Indian people, educators, and state and federal agencies to halt the wholesale destruction of an entire culture. Destruction that once seemed imminent as white society and its schools sought to strip away the Indian identity.
I think they have dried salmon.
Key among these efforts has been the rebirth of the Indian languages, a major achievement brought about through the use of a written alphabet.
Karuk and dried eels.
Charlie, D, where you auntie? May Chan Rutney. What's the other way to say dear?
The uniform alphabet
May Chan Rutney.
can capture the nuance and diversity of all Indian languages. Thus, the passing of a native speaker no longer means the loss of a piece of spoken history. If it can be spoken, it can now be written, and therefore it can be kept alive. With this tool, each new generation can once again have access to the entire body of its cultural experience.
A piece of paper.
What's this? You write on it.
Like in your ceremonies, you can't have ceremonies and be speaking in a different language. Then it's just not the same. You can't get nothing out of it. Speaking in a different tongue to your people, it's not the same at all.
Today, the sounds of the old songs and rhythms of the old dances are being heard in the land again, and they are clear and strong. Indian people are coming together, now as before, coming together to share, to celebrate, to hand down the old lore. They are interacting as a community, offering support, wisdom, and brotherhood to each other. It is in the strength of their communities that Indian people are fulfilling the teachings of their heritage. These teachings set them upon a path that leads towards wholeness, wholeness of body and mind, wholeness of spirit and world, wholeness of past and present, wholeness of the person. This is the balance that is spoken of. This is the ultimate wisdom of the old ways. And this is what is being achieved by Indian people today as they return to and re-involve themselves in their pasts. And as Shan Davis knows, the effects can be profound.
My life has grown where it doesn't seem like I'm getting old.
Tyler Inch ha Teshu. Check Tatla where going at Teshu. Do see huh? Tama. The thing I think that I really enjoy the best about myself learning about the past, which makes us today and our future, is it fulfilled a part of my angriness. because there was a lot of part of me growing up, you know, that was left out. You weren't told everything. You know, it was always seemed like it was put in quiet somewhere, and yet you always felt the vibration from other people or the way they felt toward you, and you really didn't know why. And then when you start finding out, when you get older, they start telling you about how your people were treated and what they did to them. You become very hostile, and you're angry because it's your people that it was done to. You know, there's a progressional history of our people, and you know, and if our modern education had its way, it would do away with that whole perspective. It would just ignore it. In other words,
We use that. It's hard to explain what kind of feeling it is to have, you know, when someone comes to you and say, well, do this for me. And it makes me feel happy, yes. It makes you feel proud and happy that you could help a young person.
You know why we have the white disc in there?
Bless you. Is there anybody else want to be blessed? Come in for me.
I just feel like that my broken down heart is really opened up and I can breathe. It makes me feel good to see my people come here at my ceremony. It makes my Great Spirit feel good.
and now that I'm older, I'm more mature, I've learned more things, I'm glad that I took these things. At the time, there was times in my life when I wanted to be quicker, I didn't want to think as much, I wanted to be more free. And these things always seemed like they weight me down. But now I see they weren't weight, they were my foundation, you see. And so it made me strong, it gave me something to grow off of, to become who I am.
The old ways, they teach of a balance between the world and the spirit, and that in the achievement of this balance comes peace and well-being. Each of the Indian leaders we have met, Florence, the Wintu medicine woman, Shan, the Karuk, fatavena, and Lauren, the Tolowa who follows in the footsteps of his elders, each has sought and found that balance. And each today continues in a timeless tradition of handing down the wisdom so that others will benefit.
There's so much in the world that's false, and there's so much that's in the spirit that's true. That's where we came from, and that's where I want to return.
This has been a Shenandoah Films presentation.